What's going on? Are you okay?
Making sure we're not going to get content ID'd, content identified.
Manny, if you look in Facebook, you can see what Manny looks like in the flesh as he joins us live in studio. There, you look at the camera right there.
Oh, yeah.
You can
Sorry.
look right there.
Hey.
Welcome, man.
Yeah, what's going on?
Good to see you.
Good to see you,
Welcome
too.
to Make It Plain.
Yeah. I mean, Mark, I was looking up your history. I'm sorry. I didn't realize.
Let me sure you look at it right, because there's 3 Mark Thompsons. One is the CEO of New York Times.
Right, not
That's
him.
not me.
No. Yeah, I didn't think he was doing the stuff with Georgetown.
Oh yeah.
I was unaware of your unbelievable activist history.
Well, thank you.
And I'm actually very honored to be with you.
Well, thank you.
That will wear off soon.
Yeah, I know. I'm doing the requisite amount of. I don't know.
You see, now it's my job to be,
Right. Put him in
the truth.
Right. Exactly.
I'll be the truth today.
So who's the fake news? I don't know.
Manny's here with us in studio. Brittany is also here, as inappropriate as ever. And we're glad all of you are here as well. So we have a full house today, a busy day. So tell us a bit about you, man.
So I've been practicing medicine in Connecticut for the past 17 years.
What kind of medicine?
I'm your basic family doctor.
Really?
Know? Yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
that's cool.
and
you don't fit the profile. Doctors are always so calm and reserved.
Yeah, not in my office.
Yeah, but when you call and scream on the radio,
Hard work, that man.
I don't know.
Do your patients know that side of you?
Some of them do.
Okay.
I mean, obviously, not everybody shares my opinions.
Yeah.
But yeah. No, in my office, they know. They know
Okay.
me in my office.
Okay. Well, cool.
So
the fact of the matter is, you bid during Hungerthon.
correct.
Bid for a chance to be in studio. Several people did. You could bid to be in studio with your favorite Sirius XM host or what have you.
Mm-hmm.
And you bid to be in here with us.
Wait, why didn't I get to bid to be in studio with my favorite Sirius XM host?
You could have.
Aren't you?
Although I think
No, it
employees
was us
were
or Jenny
ineligible.
McCarthy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, those were the choices.
Really? That's what I thought
think
there
was
were
a
other
music
ones.
channel one too, actually.
I thought there were several music channel ones.
I don't know.
You're right. 80s on 8, 90s on 9.
Yeah, I think there were a few.
Yeah.
You could choose from, and it was Jenny. And I think there was even one with a couple of sports people like Mad Dog.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly.
Yep.
So they had a whole array of stuff.
Well, I guess I didn't really look at the webpage after all.
Yeah, I guess not. But Manny bid to be here with us, and he won the bid.
Yeah. And
Congratulations.
it's amazing. I was just walking down the street there, and of course I went to the wrong place for a second. I went over to the NBC
Fox?
studios, and I'm like,
Oh.
are they in the NBC building? And I'm kind of knocking on the door, and I'm like, I'm gonna get in trouble there. So I went back across, and I asked one of the food truck guys. He goes, yeah, it's over there.
Yeah.
So I go, okay. All right.
Because, we're also across the street from Fox.
Yeah, I noticed that. You guys got to fix that.
Well, actually, what a lot of people don't realize, all of these buildings are part of the Rockefeller Center complex. So this is a Rockefeller building.
Right, because I saw the sign
Right,
for it.
right.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
Fox's, believe it or not, is actually a Rockefeller building, too. So this is, there's NBC, there's us, and then there's Fox. So
Yeah.
I'm glad you're here, man.
Yeah.
And hopefully you'll learn a lot. You have any questions, feel free to ask them. We're going to involve you in the discussion. Now, what usually happens is we start the morning off with Brittany doing the news. I don't know whether she has any news. She may be distracted, coming up with one-liners for me about me.
I don't need to, think of them beforehand. Oh, look, there goes Howard Stern.
Yeah, you see how Stern?
Yeah, I did see him. Yeah.
Sometimes he waves at us.
Oh, okay. Very good.
I don't plan my zingers. They just pop
just flow.
into my head, and
They
then
just
I'm ready
flow.
to just zing them.
Those are the best types. That's why they're zingers, right? They come out
Exactly.
unexpectedly.
Who did you really want to see more, her or me?
No, I want to see you.
Or her making fun of
No,
me?
no. I mean, you know what? It's the whole dynamic.
The
here.
whole
Yeah,
dynamic.
it's. It does. It feels like my office here with that stuff.
Really?
Yeah. We're always. Yeah, no. I mean,
Y'all have fun.
my
all day.
MA's. I just want to real quick. I said I was going to shout out to my office.
Yeah, please.
Northeast 16. Hello, guys.
Aw.
And to my wife Susan, and
Is she
to
listening?
I think she got up this morning.
watching.
Maybe she's sitting in her. I don't know if she's streaming it. I don't know if she's sitting in her car listening to it.
Okay.
At 6 a.m.
That's
Hey,
the
wife.
right
What's your
there.
wife's name?
Susan
Hey, Susan.
Hey,
Good morning.
Susan.
Good morning, Susan.
and my sons, Alex and Ryan.
How old are your sons?
15.
Oh, wow.
Just started freshman in high school, and my 10-year-old son Ryan.
Wow.
And he's
Wow. That's great.
in 4th grade, and so we're trying to keep it real up there in Connecticut.
So I guess it would make sense. People bidding on these things. Obviously it'd be most convenient for people who are not too far away. How far are you from here? How long did it take you to get in here?
Well, I mean, distance-wise, we're probably an hour and 10 minutes with
Okay.
no traffic.
Yeah. Which is some people's
Legitimately,
commute.
it's 2 hours.
Some people's commute. So So you took a day off from the
I usually have Tuesday's my half day anyway, so I just kind of cut it.
private practice?
Private practice. Yeah.
That's cool. How many years you been at that?
16 years.
How where'd you go to med school?
I went to med school at Drexel in
Okay.
Philadelphia.
Cool.
Well, it wasn't called that then, but
Undergrad.
Hahnemann.
Where'd you go undergrad?
I went to Binghamton.
Binghamton. Okay.
Binghamton. Yep.
So Manny's here, folks. You comfortable? You're not nervous, are you?
Nah, I'm all right.
Yeah.
I'm used to talking.
I
know,
know. I know
so-
that's right. We want to get your opinion on a couple things before we go. We just heard Trump talk about going into a building. We'll get Manny's opinion on that. But first,
Yeah.
Brittany
The news.
has the news. What's so funny now?
I typed something out, and instead of lawsuit, I wrote paw suit, and it
Okay.
just looked funny.
Okay.
Did you get a Google hit for that?
Oh, okay. Anyway, the Associated Press is reporting that former KKK leader David Duke filed a motion yesterday to block a subpoena for his communications, which happened prior to the infamous white supremacist rally in Charlottesville, Virginia. The plaintiffs, which number about 11 people, they are arguing that rally organizers violated civil rights laws in their organization of the event. And as part of that lawsuit, they subpoenaed Duke to produce communications that related to meetings he had with other white nationalists that led up to the event. Yesterday, Duke sought to have that subpoena dismissed, calling it vague, overboard, unduly burdensome, and irrelevant.
Wow. So
It's funny, that's what people say about him, don't they?
Yeah, right.
And a federal environmental program that distributes grants to test effects of chemical exposure on both adults and children is being shut down as the EPA undergoes a major reorganization and consolidation. Yes, they are consolidating the department that protects our environment. The National Center for Environmental Research, which is within the EPA, it's no longer going to exist under the reorganization plans because they're combining 3 EPA offices into one. The agency confirmed this yesterday. And previously, the program provided millions of dollars in grants every single year.
Okay.
Bring on the chemicals.
Yeah, that's right. Bring them on. We're getting ready to go to Selma. Well, first, let me say this. Tomorrow, I'll be in Washington, D.C. for a panel commemorating the life and legacy of Marion Barry. They're going to be unveiling a statue of the mayor in Washington, D.C. on this Saturday. So I'll be at a panel at one of my alma maters, University of the District of Columbia, where we staged a protest 28 years ago. And Marion, as the mayor, was a part of that, believe it or not. So we'll be talking about that at 4 o'clock tomorrow, those of you in Washington, D.C. and who want to stop by. And then Thursday through Sunday, we will be in Selma, Alabama for the annual commemoration of Jubilee. And this will be fun. This will be Brittany's first time in Selma.
Yes, it is.
So most people, when they come to Selma, have an unforgettable experience. Nothing quite like it. But here in studio now, Manny, who bid during Hungerthon for an opportunity to be in studio with us, is in studio with us right now. 17 minutes past the hour. Trump says he would have run into that. I think I probably would have run into that building, even without a weapon. What's your reaction to that?
Is that with the bone spurs
Right.
and the 5 deferments?
And the five deferments.
Yeah.
Can you believe that?
I don't think that man's run anywhere unless it was to the bathroom. because he had a gastrointestinal issue.
He got 4 deferments.
I thought it was
Well,
5.
Five.
I was 4 in college,
Yeah.
and
Bone
then
Spurs.
1 after.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Mr. Bone Spur.
Wow.
Yeah, it's that's part of his regular. I'm gonna distract. I'm gonna talk about things that don't have to do with Russia
Right.
because, unfortunately,
What do you think? What do you think about it? Yeah, you were the first one to call when you were the very first call we took.
man.
Do we have that call?
Yeah.
We do. We totally do.
It was in the T drive, so maybe gone now.
You were in Detroit, right? I think.
No,
You were
I
at
was
the
in
airport?
I was in the airport in Chicago.
Chicago. All right. Yeah.
That's where I was.
I remember.
Manny was the first to call and react to Michael Flynn.
That's right.
Was it Flynn or Manafort? I can't remember. who.
Manafort?
It
No,
was
sorry, I'm
Manafort.
sorry. It
Manafort.
wasn't Flynn.
No, it was Manafort.
It was Manafort.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess it was Manafort.
Yeah, that guy's dirtier than the diaper.
Yeah, we don't have it, do we?
I don't think we do, which is weird.
Okay.
It's like
We have Manny's other stuff.
you have a compilation.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he was the first to call in and say, "Here comes the pain."
I remember that.
So John Dean says that Carter Page could end the presidency.
Yeah, one of the things that came up that actually I didn't, and he actually touched on it. Well, I mean, he did in the article, but one of the things that was verifiably proved was that there was a deal for the Rosneft thing going on,
Uh-huh.
and to me, that's quid pro quo, right? You're gonna shut down the sanctions, and I'm gonna give you a piece of the action over here on Rosneft.
Yeah.
And the fact that that's been verified as being an accurate thing from the Steele dossier. And I mean, also, we don't know this stuff, man. Mueller is months ahead of us. And people, I have this whole thing I brought up about the way that the Russians work. And it is, I want a hat tip to this guy, John Schindler, who's a pretty conservative guy, but he writes a lot about national security issues and specifically the method by which the Russians act. This is in concert. Calling something the conspiracy theory is a dirty thing, right?
Yeah, right.
And there's some indications from him and from some other people I read from that somebody like an Alex Jones was brought in and propped up as there's some feeling that Alex might even be an asset. He creates a distraction, and creates a, that's what a conspiracy theorist is. It's Alex Jones, and so he tars everyone with that brush, and then when you have an actual conspiracy, like what's going on now or what seems to be going on, people have a harder time believing it because then they can point to Alex and say, "Well, look at that! You guys on the left are just like Alex." And this goes to the horseshoe theory, which is, you know how a horseshoe is, right? And you got the parts at the bottom are much closer to each other than the parts at the top if you go to opposite sides. And this has to do with the theory of Provyatska, which I'm not sure I'm pronouncing that correctly. Provocation. This is an article he wrote a while back in the Observer.
Oh, I lost it.
Sorry.
Let me see it. I can speak Russian.
Provatskaya, I think it's called. Hold on a second. I'm of course not keyed up to the right part of this.
Okay, go ahead.
But it means provocation.
Provocation. Okay.
And in doing so, you're creating. So, for example, they had the issue with in the Ukraine. There's direct examples of how Russia plans to do its thing by looking at the Ukraine as an example.
Right.
And in the Ukraine, they propped up both the ultra-right and ultra-left, got them to fight each other, right, as a distraction while they were trying to steal the presidency. And there's a bunch of articles about that. And really, where am I going with this? Is that we on the left have to wake up to the fact that we were being manipulated. And we might find out that people who we thought we aspired to be or thought were, good actors are not. or have been manipulated to turn in such a way. Jill Stein is a unbelievable example of that.
Okay.
Jill sold her soul out pretty much. She was seen at that meeting in Moscow with Flynn and hanging out, sitting next to Putin. You don't sit next to Putin unless you got some juice with him. You don't just show up.
You just can't do that.
Yeah, you can just be over there.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, there's some other indications that people, I think, Tad Devine, who was Bernie's campaign manager, was working with Paul Manafort.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they worked together. They worked together with. I think Tad actually did a FARA filing for the Ukraine, belatedly. And hanging out with Paul Manafort, that's not a guy you want to be hanging with. The other thing is too, why did he pick Tad? Tad had a horrible record of political. I don't think any of his candidates ever won anything when they ran. Eric is a person I follow. He's a futurist, and so where am I going with all this? Right, the issue is, I think the fact that we have to be unified. We also have to question our own, not be like up in their face or whatever, but we have to question when their rhetoric starts mimicking the rhetoric of the right. Mm-hmm. Obama's a bad president.
Yeah, right.
Black Lives Matter is a terrorist group or whatever. Look what they did to Black Lives Matter. They took them and they radicalized them in the eyes of the population, when in fact they weren't doing that stuff. The Antifa stuff. That's the other stuff that was this horseshit theory stuff.
What I would add to that is, even if it didn't go that far, a lot of us are propagandized on social media. Mm-hmm. So we repeat right-wing things we hear and don't realize it, like identity politics. Mm-hmm. That's a right-wing meme. And so when some people who call themselves on the left start talking about, I'm against identity politics, some of you may be legitimate, innocent people, but some of the people leading that conversation and moving you into that direction of that conversation are bots or agents.
Right. And why does Twitter not want to disclose? I think they were subpoenaed by the Intelligence Committee, by the Democratic side. They don't want to disclose the conversations that were set up between those bots and members of Congress.
Yeah.
Why? Because there's stuff in there that they don't want people to see.
Yeah, right. No, you're right about that. And the other thing too is that you talked about Alex Jones. So conspiracies are real, but the other role he plays with his brand of propaganda and his dissemination is to promote crazy conspiracies he comes up with to throw people off of the real stuff that's going on. So he's like, false flag. He is the false flag himself because he's throwing everybody off. Watch this. Guillaume Cheslot, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, you all should follow him on Twitter. Chaslot, Guillaume. He worked at Google, Brittany, on an algorithm. I want you to read what he posted last night. Well, actually, not last night, a couple days ago. The algorithm I worked on at Google recommended Alex Jones videos more than 15 trillion times.
With a T.
Right? That's trillion, right? Am I looking at that right?
That's a lot of zeros, yes. So.
15 trillion times.
No, I think that's billion.
Billion? It might be billion.
Is that billion?
Yeah, trillion sounds like a lot, but
no. It's billion. Okay, 15 billion times.
Still
to some of them. I'm sorry, 15 billion times to some of the most vulnerable people in the nation. So you go on Google, they were pushing this stuff. And I was reading something else, how on YouTube, how they make things go viral. So one crazy thing goes up, and then people put up other crazy things, and the algorithm pushes that stuff out there.
I was actually going to say, in my recommended YouTube videos, I get all this, like, not entirely, but every so often when I'm looking through my recommended videos, I get like an alt-right thing, or like a conservative meme video, or like a PragerU thing, or a Trump video, and I don't watch that kind of stuff. So I try as hard as I can too. I filter, like, I don't like this video, I don't like this channel, and I still get them. So no matter what I do, me as like a liberal person who browses the internet and looks at, pretty liberal sources, I would say, I still get conservative recommendations all the time on YouTube recommended to me.
So what he also tweets from Matthew Ingram, Chaslot had written elsewhere, and this was retweeted. Once a conspiracy video is favored by the AI, what does that mean? The
Artificial intelligence.
Artificial thought. It gives an incentive to content creators to upload additional videos corroborating the conspiracy. In turn, those videos increase the retention statistics of the conspiracy. Next, the conspiracy gets recommended further. Eventually, the large amount of videos favoring a conspiracy make it appear more credible.
So
you go ahead.
I wanted to also. There's one other thing I want to bring up about the NRA thing, right? I think we are passionate. We don't want to see our kids killed. I mean, you and I both have teenagers in high school, I believe.
Right.
And we are being emotionally pulled by the stories that we hear. I mean, I'm up there in Sandy Hook. My wife heard the stories about how these kids came back.
Right.
Because she works in the ER there. I mean, not in Sandy Hook, but she knows of people who do. Anyway, and what we are getting pulled away from, or where we should be focusing is, if we work on defunding the NRA, they can't spread their message, and we will get what we want. But it's a long game.
Mm-hmm.
If we run out there and get too far in front of our shoes about some of the stuff that people are talking about, it plays into they're going to take our guns away. Mm-hmm. And it's a hard position to be in. I understand why people want that to stop, and immediately. But they're playing us on this issue. And the kids' response is actually, it's a better thing to let them run with it, honestly, because they're not viewed as being partisan, even though the conspiracy people are trying to make them partisan, like trying to make it look like these kids are actors and all this garbage. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. We know what that is. We know it's garbage. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And but where am I going with this, right? The NRA won't disclose its member list. And this has been pointed out by this guy, Sean Spicer, I believe, was. He says they still got dead people on their rolls, because people who were members of it or whatever, their parents are still getting stuff from NRA, and they're long dead. And so the real question is, if let's just say the rolls are 3 million people, and what's the membership dues for the NRA? I don't know, $35 a month or something, $35 a year. I guess, I don't know. Where's that money coming from? The $50 million they spent on the election, it's coming from Russia. I mean, and if we can focus on that, and I think Mueller is, honestly, I think he's seen that that's been a conduit. There was a big story about something called the Russian laundromat. Mm-hmm. And that has to deal with Bill Browder and the Magnitsky Act. There is a name that came up in the indictments that links those things together. Mm-hmm. I'm forgetting the guy's name, but remember that I think it's the Dutch dude who got arrest Vander something,
Yeah.
Vanderslice or whatever his name is.
Vanderslice.
Not to make fun of Dutch people's names. I just don't know his name. Anyway, but there is your key. Like, that's where the money is. You got to follow that money. And if we follow the money, we find out that that money is being passed through and laundered. And yesterday there was a thing about laundering from Denmark and Estonia, Denmark branch, Danske Bank, and $20 to $80 billion were laundered between 2010 and 2014 from Putin's son-in-law. This came out in The Guardian yesterday.
Wait a minute, what now?
They laundered between 20 and 80 billion dollars of Putin's money, or Putin's stolen money, through a bank called Danske Bank that had a branch in Estonia. And you know who was arrested the other day? the head of the treasury for Estonia for money laundering.
Wow.
You know, and I think that there's an international dragnet happening now, because there's people being like Netanyahu is in huge. I think he's already been brought up on charges. Yeah. All these things are related to one another. They're all part of this elite group of proto-fascists who are, remember when Netanyahu showed out of nowhere, didn't talk to Obama, nothing, just shows up, I'm going to talk to Congress. Why did that happen? That's not no one ever did anything like that before, and stuck it in his face.
Right.
It's because he's dirty.
Manny's here from Connecticut. He bid on Hungerthon. He's going to be with us for the morning. This is what happened. What happens when people bid on Hungerthon.
Yeah,
and you get to come in studio.
Money for the kit for people need food.
People need food. You know? So next time around, you all can do the same thing. We'll take a break. We'll be joined next by the president and CEO of the NAACP, Derek Johnson. Don't go away. Sirius XM Progress 127, and we're still streaming Resistance Radio. Get ready for impeachment. Good morning. This, 25 minutes before the hour. This is MIP.